So we are live. Dagmar, hello, hello.
Hello, Beth.
Nice to see
Alive
you.
and kicking.
Alive and kicking. Here we are. Yeah, made it to Friday. I was waiting every day for Friday.
And it went by so fast. What the hell is going on with time? It just felt like it felt like Friday was yesterday to me.
Especially summer Fridays.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So welcome everyone to Yin on the Rocks with Dagmar and Beth. I am Beth, you know that part, and this is Dagmar. You might know her already since we started last week. This is episode number 2. And we're going to be talking particularly on sisters and the relationship between sisters, and um, and even the weaponization of sisters.
Mm.
Yeah, I was considering that this morning. How most every kind of relationship has been weaponized, and I thought among humans, and I'm like, no, probably with animals too. Yeah, with animals too. But there's a particular nature of that weaponization among sisters. So that's what we're more or less going to be talking about today. Improving, jamming on, if you want to call it that. Do they say jamming in the acting world?
Um, yeah, sure. Jamming. English is not my first language, you know.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. I won't pressure you then. Yeah.
That's the card I always pull out. I suddenly become a foreigner. Like when a policeman go, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Perfect. Oh, I'll have to copy that accent for those moments. So fun. So we are live on Facebook and YouTube, X, and Rumble. And Maya is here. Wouldn't be the same without you. Welcome, Maya.
Hello,
So good to
Maya.
have you. Clubhouse of Free Will Sisters. Right? So yeah, sisters are the most beautiful thing on earth, and then can also be, what word would you use to describe if there is a
I
if it's
mean,
an
I
opposite?
w I would also say the opposite, it would be the most, fierce teacher in the world, or like
Ooh,
the greatest sensei,
ooh.
like some wise, crazy forest creature who's gonna teach you things that you don't really wanna learn,
Mm.
uh, because the sister is such a reflection, and it's so easy to just oppose that reflection, and to shield ourselves against whatever we perceive the sister, if it's qualities that we don't like, or that we deem like just unacceptable or terrible or vicious or petty, all of that.
Yeah.
um, and if the sister, it happens to be a reflection of the part that we all know work really well in the world, like, care, kindness, sensitivity, generosity, all of that, then it's fun to have somebody in your court, to feel like, wow. And as you know, I mean, sisters don't just have to be blood sisters. We find many sisters in the world. Um, I thought one interesting thing to maybe start with would be, um, what I learned from one of my female mentors from 25 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And she said that the best remedy for jealousy, because jealousy is definitely one of the qualities that does come up between sisters, either being jealous of the sister or feeling bad that the sister is jealous of you. So we have the jealousy and the guilt already in there. But she said that the remedy for jealousy is praise.
Mm.
um,
Nice.
and that has work so well, in terms of like a real application. So every time I get a load of some woman, if I know her or don't know her, or if it is my sister, or if it is just someone shows up in my life that is either really beautiful or has an extraordinary quality or beauty or amazing hair, or just really has her shit together. And I get that tinge of like, oh, I'm just Cinderella over here.
Yeah, I was going to say Cinderella,
It's
exactly.
like, I got nothing but ashes. And look, she's got all the goods. She's got the dress, the tiara, the husband or the children or whatever. Then to just immediately go to praising her, even internally, or most of the time I just do it like direct, if it's someone that I can talk to. And wow, it's just an amazing thing, because then after doing that for many years, it kind of put me into this state of feeling like that every woman's glory, whatever it may be, is my glory too. Because as I praise her, I start to recognize that I'm recognizing something that I wouldn't recognize if in some way I didn't have the same kind of feeling inside, of what's may not show up the same way that it does in her, but it's instantly unifies me with her. And then I get excited about her success or her being told she's beautiful. Uh, you know, uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I could say something about that. And welcome, Michelle, who's driving, just listening. So I thought I would say that since another sister's here and wouldn't be able to see if I tagged her. So that's very interesting. I'd like to dive in a bit deeper on the nuances of it. That jealousy, and you even use the word guilt, are both forms of pride on the emotional scale, as at least as it's been taught to me, and it's been found in a few different people have found the same scale, giving it some validity. The most validity I find is inside myself. So then if there's jealousy there, then if you jump up one, if you call it rung of the ladder or one aspect of the scale, you get into courage. And that's exactly what it requires to praise and appreciate someone, is to have courage, right? Because otherwise you're going to be hungry, and that hunger makes you feel like, oh, why does she get that? I'm better than her, which is the pride part, right? The either I'm better than her or I'm inferior to her would be that step down from courage. But if you can rise up into a place of courageousness, then that appreciation comes much more easily. And that's exactly how to use jealousy. Is it's like, okay, well, is this something that you see you could have for yourself? Then what are you going to do about that? You're going to take down this woman that you're jealous of, try to make her feel bad about herself for some reason? Or are you going to rise to what you feel to be something worthy of reach? So, yeah.
also, just to add to that, that it's not necessarily to take down, because in jealousy, it's usually ourselves we're taking down, not the other person.
Yeah, it's the illusion that we're taking the other person down.
Yeah, but
What
it's
pride
really that's the essence of it. And for me, um, I see what you're saying about the sourcing of the pride, but also for me, it's to praise another woman. It's not courage that I need. It's more it, and maybe they're the same, but it's a sense of like a softening, a gentleness, a love, to be able to praise another woman is just like, it doesn't, yeah, I don't know if I could see how it would be courage, but is it, yeah, I'm looking for what's the word, what's the feeling, that makes me say that and genuinely like really see it, like see what it is that I want to praise in that woman specifically. Uh,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, no worries. It's just the lens that I see through, so I can't unsee it. So
yeah, 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 no, I get it.
see it.
We-
Yeah, it takes courage to love. It takes courage to soften. It takes courage to be porous and actually see the other person rather than just see your own experience as the only subject that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I'm processing the word courage. I'm looking like strength, courage, because it does, to me, courage is something that, yes, I'm going to do it, even if I'm afraid or whatever. Is that kind of how you define courage?
it has many aspects. It's kind of like an umbrella of several different experiences. They're like archetypes of that contain a lot of different expressions. So yeah, I just jump right to the book in my head. So I was actually going to share a story about that, because this is something I've noticed among what can turn out to be frenemies. Say where there is love, there is attraction, there is a sisterly kind of relationship, and then there's the where love has the opposite. It can be a love hate kind of a thing that might include the jealousy or the guilt. And so were you planning to talk about your real life sisters at all? I'm just curious if I should tell a story.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So yeah, so this year, I've been not entirely estranged from one sister, but from the other, and then so the one got married this summer, and I got an invitation. It was my first invitation in 5 years to any family event, and then the younger sister, it was extremely gracious, the most gracious bride I'd literally ever seen in my entire life, like amazing, just managed to include everyone and make everyone feel special and welcome, and it was pretty beautiful, especially in contrast to the other experience that I was having that was quite the opposite, like, not even really glancing at me like I existed or anything like that. And then her way to intersect with me was to point out that my shoes matched the forest that we were in, because it was a nice, beautiful outdoor wedding in a little wild birch forest. And the shoes have a birch bark kind of look to them. And it was using that praise and appreciation. She's trying to rise above, I'll say the pride of however, pride meets pride. It's all separation. And then so it was, so sometimes also that oh, I like that Maya courage is like a door. And then so even, those frenemies can use the appreciation somewhat, maybe not entirely, but disingenuously, like it's somehow going to make up for the hatred or the dark jealousy or the this meanness or the something like that. So it's just a little nuance of that, of what can be, because women's tendency is not to come up to somebody and go, I hate you. Right? They're not just like, I have hate in my heart, I hate you, you're stupid or whatever.
Well, in my life, that's very common.
Okay.
I don't say it, but I certainly get that told to me. So
Right.
I it all depends what kind of a woman is, because a lot of women who are not processing things or have a different entryway into life, it's quite easy to say, I hate you. You're ruining my life or whatever.
Right.
I think even though we're talking about sisters, it still comes down to the same thing, which is, for me, that there's nothing wrong with how life shows up. It's just, what do we do with that? With how a sister shows up, or how you show up for your sister, or for any woman. That it's all, I mean, to just, yeah, we could just focus on sisters, but it really applies to everything, because it could be your mother, it could be your father, who's enacting some primal aspect of yourself that you're not happy about.
Yeah, but that will be different. That will have a different quality. Like, so in general, I've observed that women tend not to go head to head in their conflict. They
Mhm.
tend to do it a little bit more sideways, a little bit, and especially the appearance of love and affection and appreciation, but with the under, not like the icing between the cookies isn't sweet.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then, at some point it'll reveal itself. It will expose, because as women we're trained to be nice
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
and to be likable.
The moment you said that, we're trained to be nice. I killed a fly.
You killer.
Like the timing was so amazing. And they're like, "What are you doing on my desk?"
Fun.
I'm not a vegetarian. Um, yeah, yeah, and also, on the most primal level, women do status work very differently than men. Men have a different way of assessing their status,
Yes.
who's stronger, bigger, richer, smarter, and for women, a lot of times it's the getting married raises a woman's status,
Hmm.
as opposed to like a married woman has higher status than a single woman, and a widowed woman also has higher status than a single woman. There's this thing of like, oh, if the man chose you and you're getting married, that means, see, with the women, the Godzilla series that they have, no, Bridezilla, not Godzilla, Bridezilla, where they show women who are basically acting like they just won a trophy with their ring, like, see, look what I got.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very close to this, by the way. Yeah.
So it's like we have more subtle ways, whereas a man needs to tell a man, I don't like you, we're not going to work together anymore. but
Exactly.
but a woman would be like, it would be very subtle messaging, and body language. We're just so much better at that, and it's not better like, better than men, but just it's part of our innate skill set, the subtle communication.
And the subtle killing, right? So a guy can take out his axe and cut your head off, or especially guy to guy.
Mhm.
But because I mean, it's been partly explained, if it is an explanation, that just because we don't have that physical violence capacity to the degree that a man does, we've learned to be violent in all the other ways,
Mhm.
emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. There's violent. I think that applies. And yeah.
I think that's why I wouldn't really want a woman president. Don't shoot me, anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that men have an organic built-in sense of fair play, where they can like shake hands, after the fight, and the better man won, or after the boxing match or whatever. And in a way, that's how we can tell if this is an evolved man or not, if he can have a sense of fair play. Whereas women, um, I don't think it's that built into us to have that sense of fair play. um,
Exactly. We needed all of these different, like, kind of we need the extra ammunition of how, if we were fair, then how could we kill anyone?
Well, or how could we kill the other women so that we would be the chosen one?
Awesome.
Feminine wiles. Is that how you pronounce it?
I
Um,
believe so.
yeah, feminine wiles. I mean, come on, that's like Wile E. Coyote of the feminine, sneaking and finding ways to get what we want. And yeah, like doing it in a we can't just go out there, and we don't have the physical strength necessarily to kill off any competition.
That's it.
We're
Exactly.
not going to go yelling at anybody, which is another way that men have of doing it. They can just become big and strong. and intimidating, um, which would kind of be counterintuitive for us because we're trying to. Now, I'm not saying, I'm just saying the primal brain, the amygdala, wants to draw the man and have them protect us. So that, especially if we're, and at the age where we could have children, we're going to need them there. It's just primal. There's nothing fancy about it. So we don't want to be big and intimidating, because then they'll just be like, oh, hell no. And then you're going to have, the two butting heads. Yeah, it's very interesting. And the whole idea of praise, that would not work for a man, I'm pretty sure, because what I've noticed is that what makes women kind of relax and bloom, and I don't know if praise is the exact right word, but it's like, what makes a flower open, is the attention and praise of the sun. There's something about that that makes us bloom. I've never seen any woman, or the not woman, but let's just say the feminine, because both the feminine in men and women will bloom with praise. But if the man's mother, let's say, goes too far and is constantly praising him, the man in a way becomes, against his will, he can become more feminine than he really feels. And I think that what makes men, come into their own more and evolve is some kind of a challenge. And usually, the physical challenge is great, or just a mental challenge, or a big problem that needs to be solved. But for women, or for the feminine in women, I don't think it makes a woman more relaxed and trusting, or enticing, and doesn't bring out the soft flow of surrender if her husband or boyfriend is constantly challenging her and treating her like a buddy. Whereas guys, they punch each other. They may say stuff that is kind of hard, a little more hardcore, but it's invigorating, for even if it's the masculine between two women. We can play with that energy. I can, say, hey, Beth, that's bullshit what you just said. But then we're in our masculine, which is also, we can do that. But I just feel that the way the world is right now, it's a lot more urgent for women to have ways to access that part of us, at least privately, in the private, in the home. I don't recommend doing this everywhere in the world or in public necessarily, or at your job, but with your brother or your husband or your son, to access more of that part that can just be like water, and that you can fully receive the man's energy and thoughts and opinions and ideas, that you're actually just open to it. That's a lot harder, because we've been trained by, I know I have, even from the communist country, the women should handle your stuff, do your thing, be independent, go out there and, make sure nobody takes advantage of you, and make sure you got it all handled. I got that one down. I mean, not that I'm very successful at it, but I know that that's the intent. So in order for me to access that part of me that is naturally more feminine, man, that's just even if I'm alone and I do that, because I could get into my masculine even when I'm alone. I could suddenly get have my notes and have my piles and all the things that I have to do, what I have to cross out, and my schedule and all this, and get everything done. But then when I give myself the space to just be, without necessarily a goal, and listen to myself, that feels pretty freaking awesome.
Totally does. Yeah. And if we go back to sisters, because it is so big, and we have kind of limited time a little bit today, I wanted to talk about something that it was the death of my mother that taught me this. I don't know that I would have viscerally learned it any other way. because there was like the death of someone close to, well, not close. If we're specific again, to the sisters, or can be siblings. I only had sisters. Do you have a brother as well? Just a sister? Okay. Yeah. And so it was very tense. It was very tense. I remember we were in the hospital one time and the nurse commented how well we were getting along as sisters. And let's like, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes here at all. But it kind of indicated that it wasn't a unique thing, that maybe there was some conflict around the deathbed of the mother. And so after my mom passed, I think it was could have been that evening or the evening after. And I was, of course, extremely, like, my mind was completely blown. I was just, like kind of like hamburger hanging out and no form of any kind. And I started manufacturing, going through all of the conflict that had come up on the deathbed. And my sisters, I will say, without editing myself or checking reality, I'll say they engineered it so I wouldn't be there when my mom passed. But that's not really true. It's just that's part of the feeling of that relationship. And then so there was this, so final collusion between two sisters and my mother. This is how the scene's playing out if I wrote it as a drama. And I was sitting there and I realized that one of my biggest all-time fears was that exact thing, that my sisters and my mom were ganging up on me, against me. I actually came into the room at an event one time and they noticed I was there, but they kept talking like I wasn't there about me. And I had to say, like, hey, I'm right here. Oh, right. Like they just got so casual with their, collusion. And I realized at that point that it was my biggest fear. And then the next moment I realized, like, that's true. That is true. I started seeing my memory went through all of these vignettes that proved that was happening. But I'm the outlier. I'm the rebel. I earned it. It's not like somehow they're evil and I'm a gooder. But and then I went through this, the depth of the devastation of that realization that I had only feared. Right. When you're only afraid of something, you're actually quite separate from it. But as soon as you just allow it to be true and it to have you, and this, I have the memory of literally jumping up and down because of the electricity of the revelation. It was so intense. I couldn't sit in a chair. I had to to bounce and pound and just like somehow express this energy. I know it sounds totally stupid, but what I realized in that moment was that the conflict between me and my sisters was in fact about my mom. But all of the problems that we had appeared to be between us sisters. And that grievance and this conflict and that thing would come up. And so I was able to piece together a more universal principle that in that time I called the mother wound. I think people use that in other ways or similar ways, or it could be totally different. But it's that if the sisters, I think siblings would apply here too, have a conflict outright with the mother, so that they know it, the mother knows it, everybody knows it, that puts them physically in danger. Because the mother is responsible for their survival. And so that tension that's with the mother, I think, gets played out in that, if it's a triangle, it gets played out in the much safer relationship
with the sister.
With the sister. Yeah. Because if you hate them, you're not going to die. But if you hate the mom, that could be the end of you.
Yeah. No, that's a profound insight. into that. And you're also touching on what does the feminine really want in terms of being seen. What is that light that we want to be? We want that light to be recognized, whether it's by a mother or whether it's by a man. And it's, yeah, you're right. It's so intensely primal, though. If there is any kind of gap in the mother-daughter thing, you really got to work that shit out. And in a way, it's not just reparenting yourself. It means, if you choose to take on a task like that, it's like reparenting your whole lineage. Because if you had that with your mother, maybe the other sisters didn't. There's always one who in the family, the one who is more of the empath and absorbs and takes things in, that you take on that it's an old, it's an ancestral thing. But the whole I'll just share a little piece about, like, when I was researching and working on my one woman show. First I was going down the path of like the devouring mother, because that was my experience. I was like, my mother is eating me organ by organ. That was the story that I had. And that was it. I'm not saying that wasn't a legitimate experience that I was having, but it wasn't the full truth of who she was and what was really going on like that bigger level. But that was what I was researching. And I went through so many different mythologies, fairy tales, and I could never find anything where the mother actually eats her child. I only found where you have, Hansel and Gretel, some evil witch eats the child, and Kali eating other people's children, all these kind of softer versions. And then you had Medea, but she was really murdering her children for the sake of, because she was feeling betrayed and jealous. She wanted to punish her husband, so there was never anything in there which made me think, like, God, this must be like the biggest taboo in humanity, because we have also such a taboo about abortion. It's like, it's an organic thing. Even people who are pro abortion, some part of them still, there's a little, like, how could are you saying that the one who birthed me could kill me too? Or could have, and I think that is such a dark, there's so much unsafety in that, that it applies both to men and women. Men deal with it differently. We got Woody Allen dealing with it one way, and then we have other men dealing, we got, what's his name? I don't know, some manly man actor, dealing with it in a different way. But and women also, we have a whole different, subtler dance that we do with that. I think that having the sisters or other women in our lives then be like the stand-in for that, because it's got to be dealt with somehow. You have to have something to press against, or to allow the reality of that thing that lives in us, that fear, that terror. And then, but to not make it about, like, you're a bad parent, I had a bad mother and I hate her. She was so mean to me. She did not recognize me, and that kind of stuff. Even though I'm not saying that's not a legitimate phase to go through. It's the teenage years in a way, a teenager will start to see what's missing or what's not there, or who's the hypocrite, seeing the hypocrisy of both parents, but especially the mother. So, yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know if I was going to share my recent experience with my sister. But anyway, what are your thoughts, Beth?
For sure. Well, it was just the one thought, and then I would like to hear that again. Stories are so great to hear more than once. And for the sake of everyone else. So yeah, with the I was just thinking about that setup between the sisters, where there is that silent, invisible conflict with the mother, and then that gets acted out with the sisters. And I'm wondering if there is, those images that you're painting of the Medea that eats the children to harm the husband or harm the masculine. And so, like, one of the programs that I help people release as a title is called Love Hate, right? So it's the love that has the opposite, that can flip. And we have this cult that says, oh, you should love yourself, but it's almost, or very often can be, this two-sided love or hate, and it flips very easily. And I wonder if it is common in mothers, where they have both the love and the hate for their children, because for a lot of reasons, especially in our modern child rearing practices, the mothers are abandoned with the children, right? Like the mothers should be surrounded by community and helped by the next generation, and all kinds of, it takes a village. Like, it's really, really true, actually. And so in our modern context, I wonder if there's a setup that, and it would be intense. You would never admit to yourself that you hated your child. So that would be suppressed. The depth of that would be suppressed. Now, when you suppress one thing, it's because it's one program. Both sides get suppressed and depressed.
It's interesting. One of the things that I had explored at the time when I was looking at that devouring mother was that, and it was kind of shocking to me that my mother's behavior appeared to be as if it's jealous of me.
Yes.
As if I'm living the life that she couldn't live.
Exactly.
And she is thrilled and happy that I am. I didn't get that then, but I get that now. I see how she was very proud, and it meant a lot to her, and she would tell that to other people. But with me, it just felt like it's a competition, like she wants to come into my territory, or and I mean, I know this sounds so fucking Freudian, like, we're competing for daddy. It doesn't every little girl. I remember saying this as a little girl, going, when I grow up, I'm going to marry you, to my father. I'm going to marry daddy, and you can imagine how, to a woman, like my mother was 18 when she was pregnant, to an 18-year-old, what? She just got her man who's going to protect her, and she's married, and she's in love with him, and he's hot, she's hot, it's this amazing thing. And then you have like this 3-year-old going, I'm going to take him away from you when I grow up. It's asking a lot of a woman to be that evolved, to not be I use this terrible word which has been ruined, triggered. To not be triggered by her child freely saying all these things coming from the primal brain, and to have your own daughter coming in there like a ray of sunshine, all happy and drawing all the light to her, shining. How young girls, the light is shining so strong. At least it used to be. I don't know how. I haven't been around any young girl children for a while. So, but I'm assuming that's still there. And can you just imagine what that would be like? And even boy children still shine, because they still have a lot of that natural feminine energy, like for the first 3 years. So it's, once I grasp, like, oh my God, this is, I never saw my mother as a full woman with who has no clue what's going on. It's a major projection. We do project incredible things because we need to, because it feels good to make the parent be powerful, all powerful, because you need to have them be that way so that you can feel safe as a child, So it's just, it's not black and white. And I like what you were saying about frenemies. because there's a beauty to that too. There's a beauty to the freedom of, being able to feel what that enemy feels like with somebody you feel that intimate with, that you can actually just say, I hate you right now.
Oh no, but it's fake and gay. You'd never say that. You'd never say that. You will stab them behind their back repeatedly and hope they don't realize it. So
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
no, it's completely dishonest state. I was going to also talk, yeah, the jealousy of the child. It's tragic, but that's a real thing, and that took me my entire life to realize that's what was happening. That every time I took a step, I took many steps in my younger years, even even the rebel ones of running away and individuating and gaining my independence, as clumsy and wrong or illegal as it was at times. There was a constant feedback that and then when I made a beautiful recording CD. So any creation that I would make, I would travel. I went to India 8 times. I just kept. I got my degree to the degree I wanted it, and all of these accomplishments always took her down. Like you could see, it gave her less energy, less, and then my interpretation was that like her life was over because of her children, that was only so far that she could go, and then it was a stunted kind of development. Yeah, so everything that the child did or that I did somehow took away from her happiness. So that was very strange.
No, well, that's profound. And it seems like in your life you have a child that you've broken that spell, that
I
particular spell, where you're not passing that on to the best of your ability.
Thank you. Maybe it's why God gave me a boy. Maybe it was much easier. But yes, I'm absolutely thrilled for him and his accomplishments. Not in a, exaggerated, weird way, like every time he has a poop. No, I actually do cheer about the poops because they're pretty Olympic. But yesterday he said, is that gross that I tell you? I'm like, no, I want to hear you have a good gut. That's awesome. And hello, Apto Adley. Nice to see you. I don't totally understand your comment. If you want to clarify, please do. We're glad for the.
Maybe the mother for her children. She's just jealous so much. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah. We'll wait for you if you want to say more about that.
Clarify that. Clarify.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and that between the sisters, because the feminine is naturally more coming from the emotional realm, say, where men's tendency is much more intellectual and they're good at facts. We're not good at facts. It left to our own device, if you just let nature take its course, everything's coming from the feel, right? Like it's like, well, I feel like you are bad, and then it becomes this like fact. Feeling becomes fact, where it just.
Or there's integrity of feeling. Do you know what I'm saying? Not to distinguish feeling from fact, but that integrity itself for the feminine is feeling. That is, rather than the facts or the ideas or the promises or the be your word kind of thing. That the actual, it's a different kind of integrity, than let's say masculine integrity.
Right. Yeah, that would require awareness of being able to use emotions rather than have it as if they're using you. So I think that's one of the places that some of the trouble can take.
And even beyond using, just feeling. I think that I can see that in the world, that is one quality that we have no guidance or no platform for experience of feeling, actually having that experience. that
Right.
it's more like something that has to be fixed or, understood or placed in the proper perspective so that it doesn't use you. So you're using it, but most people don't, there's no like, where do we have that? That's why I always keep going back to the arts, because that's the most legit way to connect with feeling without any kind of needing to
Damage.
fixing, yeah, damage or fixing it or pushing it or trying to maneuver it or use it to manipulate yourself or others.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, from the earliest get-go, I'm not sure about you, but it was, don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about. Michelle said, she said her mom used to say, I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. That's a pretty blatant description of what we were talking about.
And what a freaking gift that is to say it outright like that. Because I do have some friends that I can do that with. I can say, you're being a bitch right now, and I don't have to go tiptoeing and trying to get it. There's a beauty in being able to say something like that, because then it's out there and you can respond in the same force. You get to feel yourself, or you could feel yourself holding back your response, but still what you're responding to. You don't have to go around going, well, she smiled at me, but I feel like I'm invisible suddenly, or she said this nice thing, or she gave me a gift. And so instead of being gaslit by someone else or your mother or your friend or yourself, when somebody just puts it out Naika's mom did.
That's Michelle, by the way. You've met her.
Oh, okay. Oh, Michelle. Yes, I know
I
that.
hope she doesn't mind. I just exposed her identity.
Oh, sorry. She's
No, I
not
think it's okay.
the-
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that's really, that is the gift of Kali coming from the mother, even though it may not be pleasant,
Mm.
and it may be a shocking thing. But if my mother had ever said anything like that to me, I wouldn't have to spend decades trying to decipher what's hiding underneath there. And then eventually discover, like, oh, Kali, that goddess, the one with the tongue hanging out, the devouring goddess. There's an extraordinary and necessary beauty to her. It's an energy, it's an energy in the tapestry of things that we can have access to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um,
Indeed, indeed. And we got one more try at this comment. I do mean that any mother feels jealous about her children, especially if.
oh, if the children are men, okay, that even if they are men, yeah, I could see that. I could totally
Mhm,
see that. The
mhm.
only difference is that usually the mothers will try to, even if they're feeling jealous, they will try to rein them in so that they'll play the masculine role for them, especially if the husband is either dead or isn't stepping up. Then you end up with a lot of men being the husbands to their mothers.
Yeah.
um, which is I can't imagine, that must not be that much fun. I ended up being a husband to my mother which is one of the most like weirdest things any woman can experience. And I know I'm not the only one, where if there are no men around, if the father is gone, and the mother needs that energy, then I'm treated like the husband. I would always come home and fix everything, and all the suffering and complaints were told to me, and I had to be like, and I was like, why am I acting like a husband? Why? And it actually really helped me understand men, in the sense of like how frustrating it must be when you work hard and you do all these things to provide, and then the woman is like, are you sure? Or like, well, she asks for something and you do everything for her. You make her comfortable. You buy her a new bed, or you buy her whatever. You fix and you handle, and then the reaction is like, well, I don't know, this isn't or you tell her, oh, all you have to do is let me call the car guy for you, and then she'll be like, well, no, I don't want that, turning away every help that comes.
Mhm.
I was like, wow, how do men put up with this? Or you ask him to fix your car and he's fixing it, and you go there like, but what are you doing? What is that? Do you know what you're doing? you know, it really helped me understand my father better. I realized that my father was actually a really good guy when I saw him from from his point of view, um, from him being actually a man, not through the eyes of my mother.
Right. Right. Yeah. Interesting. Um, so we're coming down to the last 10 minutes, and I'm just curious if there's anything more along the sister side around, say, status um, between sisters, where there's a subtle ranking that can take place. Again, back to that realm of deciding who's superior, who's inferior, who's in charge. If I have one very classic experience, I'm totally on the chopping block here, but I'm pretty sure this sister will not listen to one shred of anything or read one word that I write or anything. So I'm kind of in the clear here. And it, there, she was one that no matter what the situation was, she needed to engineer and control and orchestrate. And there came a point where I also completely succumbed to it in a bunny kind of way. Like, oh, okay, the predator is handling everything. I'll just like try not to get eaten in the process. And like I remember some late funerals in my family, late meaning people that died not that long ago, and then just like, oh good, she's got it handled. I don't even want to use her name so I don't get killed, but it's just like, okay, oh yeah, it's all handled. I don't have to do anything. Same with my mother's will, and there was just always a. Now the interesting part was that it wasn't entirely benevolent. There's different levels people are at, and there's a lot of people at the level of vying for their own needs. Like, how can this suit me and be good for me and perfect for me and nourish me, or whatever that is, where that the agenda to control the situation is based on how can I get what I want or need out of this. And that's where it can be a little bit crazy. And then if I was to ever step in and like suggest, try to contribute, god forbid, take some control, then I would get this big hammer would come out, and there'd be like this boom, just like right on my head, boom, like what are you thinking? She was 3.5 years older than me, and so that age was significant. And I remember I was reading in Mark Archer's. He's one of our members. Maybe you remember from our meetings, and he was writing about how the Elohim. This is now I shouldn't say these because I won't go deep into explanation. But we think of Elohim as God, capital G, God, the divine. But he can show in the Hebrew how it's actually God's little g, plural. And the true nature, and these are the children of the divine. And the true nature of those children was not to like dominate over and rule and selfishly take whatever they need. They were there not as gods but as guides.
Mm,
And I could see this exact shimmer with my sister, how there was that side of her that wanted to guide me. She would come home from a math class, and she was pretty determined to teach me as a 3-year-old what she just learned as a 6.5, 7-year-old. But I was developmentally not there. It gave me so much pain. I have this memory to this day. I'm holding my head and I'm trying so hard to understand what she meant and to do math, and like, you're not getting it. Why aren't you getting it? Oh, I'll say it again. And she gets meaner and meaner along the way. And so you can see that there was that natural, she did want to guide me, but instead ended up crushing me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And could it also be that you are also her divine guide? That your frustration or whatever it was that she experienced that made her go like, what, you know, and you going, I'm not really, that you were really reflecting something that is exactly the reason she was guiding you, because of the same thing inside her, being exactly in that, like, what I don't, oh, I gotta be good, I gotta get this, I gotta guide, I gotta know, I gotta figure it out. That you're both guiding each other in a very different way, but that you are reflecting a different, a different aspect. It's very easy to see how different they are, and the position of one is kind of more of the victim of someone's efforts to to help or to guide or whatever, that one is the good one and the other one is like the stupid one or the one who doesn't get it. But really, those are just labels of, like, I see them as very similar. In my older years, I'm starting to see that there's something really divine between those kind of roles, that family members get locked into. It's like whatever is homeless in a family, somebody has to grab it. If nobody's grabbing it, somebody will naturally grab an energy that nobody wants to own. Like, you may have the angry child who's always going to be like having fits of anger. If the whole family is determined to be really nice, or if nobody wants to own it.
Right. So, but just back to the status, which is naturally achieved through age, that there's the older one has more development, more knowledge, more ability, more mastery of the world than the younger one. So they naturally guide. I watched this in my nieces and nephews, that the 7-year-old naturally guided the 3-year-old in the benevolent place. They also turned on them like gods. I'm going to start using this now because I think there's a really good flip there. And so the status is can be very benevolent and beautiful. That the guidance is needed. That's how especially large families can navigate. And then yeah, just that. Yeah, I think that's it, Mark. If you're listening to this, I think that's it. Just this, like that, because she was a guide to me, right? That was maybe the purpose of the birthing of her first, was to guide me. But then she became the god to me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
controller, the dominator, the um, crusher.
Yeah, the perpetrator, who then eventually also then becomes the victim.
Mm.
It can turn. But I'm going to throw this in there because that's a great. I love that story, and I subscribe to that story. Until recently, I started to talk to more women, and I'm seeing the same dynamic with an younger sister taking on that guiding role. And I'm going, wait a second. So that blew my story. I've seen it a couple of times. And I'm going, my story was that it's because the issues are because my younger sister, I'm the older one, right? That my younger sister is not independent financially, and if she was, then all would be well. That's the only issue. But then I've seen sisters, and they're coming out of the woodworks, where it's a younger sister and she is even richer than the older sister and got her shit together, but the same dynamic of, like, why are you constantly trying to, like, why is nothing that I do okay? So I,
I hear what you're saying. I hear it now. Yeah, exactly. That those roles, especially as you age, like if when we were the 6.5 and the 3-year-old, it was a little bit locked in that just for developmental
yeah.
purposes. But you're exactly right that can those roles can completely flip and be independent of age.
And remember how last week we talked about how uh, it's just as devastating to be the good one as it is to be the bad one.
Yes.
So I don't see that they appear different, but the child who's the one who does the math, who knows everything, and then the child who just can't get it, and people go, well, she's a little, or she's got a temper, or she's slow, or she's whatever,
I'm
she's
3.
just the black sheep. Oh, what?
I'm 3.
Yeah, right. But those kind of judgments are made by adults all the time. They brand the children, and I'm sure we, the child, us, our soul contributes to whatever. I just think that, yeah, it's the programming, but also I feel that our soul has something to do with whatever branding we get, because it's something that gives us an opportunity to grow from and to find our freedom again. The freedom that we come from. I feel that wherever we come from is pretty freaking awesome. And then while we're here doing our journey, we want to touch that while we're here, with the parameters of being in a body and having these incredibly solidified stories, that because we are meaning making machines, and we make up some pretty beautiful stories, which is why we love, people watch movies or read books, because just the story itself stirs us, just the story itself, because a good story never figures shit out. A good story just shows it, and shows how our grappling with it, and whether it's a good story as a book or a good story as a life, like what makes us exhilarated to be alive. And even if it, may require sometimes the sister becomes the enemy, and hopefully we can move through that, but not by suppressing it. Sometimes we have to live shit out, to be able to get the full gift of it. So anyway,
Yeah.
I love that kind of, journeying into that.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Well, we're at the hour mark. Do you feel like you're done, or is there anything else you want to share? I feel like we could still talk quite a bit about it, but
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah. If there is there something that you wanted to add? That's
I was reflecting on sometimes I'll project forward to the end, like the deathbed.
Mhm.
And, is it going to be me or my sister that I've been talking about? It's hard to tell who's going to be on that deathbed first. Like anything can happen, and then the I noticed that one of the ways that women will I think it comes back to the same predator prey kind of thing, that women will try to work out that status, say where there's an established dominatrix. That's the wrong word for this context, but is there another word for that? I can't think of it.
um, an established the leader, the the one in charge. I don't know.
The crusher.
The crusher, the one who runs the show.
Mhm,
But it's
mhm,
weird though, because okay, I'll just share this one. There's an acting exercise. It's called the master slave exercise.
mhm.
And in that exercise, you keep switching, and without saying what you're doing, but you're just having improvised conversation, and you switch back and forth from being the master to the slave. And in that exercise, what you learn over and over again, that the one who's the slave actually ends up being in charge, even more so sometimes than the master. And then it switches, the one who's supposedly the master is actually the slave. So there's something about that dance, that it's more malleable than we realize.
Yeah, and the one that's slave to one will be the master to the other. Like that's where that fluidity can happen a
Yeah.
lot as well. Yeah, and I think of like in mhm.
Well, I was just thinking that the one who's, let's say, more dissatisfied, or the one who has more to complain about, or is actually saying, like, I don't have this, I don't have that, my life sucks, your life is great, ends up being the master just by the squeaky wheelness of it, and by drawing attention to themselves, because they're feeling like the slave. And in that whole programming or putting out into the world, like, see, I don't have it as easy, or I have to do this, or I suffered this, or that they become more powerful in terms of the energy that they draw to themselves, than the one who supposedly is the leader, who's got everything together.
Mhm, mhm.
you know
And so I'll use two other metaphors in this that are not entirely unrelated, but they are different, and it's the predator and the prey. So that more closely describes the relationship that I've now exposed for everybody to see in this in this public way. Could you tell me in the chat if you find it helpful at all? By the way, I would love to hear, and because otherwise it's just I'm not, well, we're all experimenting here. But so yeah, then this role of predator prey, you saw it in a piece of writing recently that I shared with you, that they're two universal roles. They are identical with the masculine and the feminine, it turns out, and it exists in nature. You can't break it. So I often have said this, probably already said it around you as well, but that if you remove a predator from an ecosystem,
Mhm.
the prey become the predator on the land. And so there is, it's like kind of like what you said, where there's a role open, somebody's gonna be filling that role. That's gonna happen because that's nature's way. And then so it's an interesting dynamic, because where there's a predator, say if my sister was more that crusher, then I was the prey, and I would play that. And one of the ways that I would try, and still, pretty recent, like my very last communication, I'm still putting on the, I'm being the deer or the bunny or something. Good, Maya, I'm glad. Thank you. And then so yeah, I had a beautiful bowl. It's not here right now, and my sister had made it for me one year, and I just ended up keeping it. You know how you get a lot of things and it's a craft and there's something, but I just ended up keeping it for my bathroom, and I use it every single day that I've got this bowl. And my heart opened one day, and I took a picture of the bowl and I sent it to my sister that I've been pretty estranged from, and I just said, you know what, I still really appreciate this bowl. I didn't know if you would know that from, it's probably 20 years ago already that she made this for me. And I think everybody got a bolt that year. And and then so here I am, like I'm the prey. I'm coming to be like nice and kind and appreciative and complimentary, and it all felt genuine. I wasn't put I won't put anything on, because it was like alive in that moment for me. Okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to risk being nice, and then I got crushed in from that. And in a subtle way, I suggested, oh, and if we could get together and have a coffee or chat or something. It's like, no response to that whatsoever, just cut off. And so there's interesting dynamic where there's, and I've looked pretty deep into this around it feels strangely safer around someone who's dangerous
Mhm.
to, what is that word that you lay yourself down, expose your belly and say, eviscerate me,
Reveal yourself.
reveal and like eat the insides.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
my
right, exactly. There's my neck. Just exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a very strange thing, because it's looking for safety in danger.
Or also just there's a longing in us to enact something that's going on all the time, to like bring it out, to have it be, especially like what you started with, is that we don't say it directly, but sometimes there's a hunger to just like, I just want to live it so I can feel what's really going on.
Yeah, yeah, to make it manifest, because if it's entirely inside you, chances are there's a big chunk of it that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
Even me just having said all of these things, I'm getting a much bigger reflection than it just going around in my head, right?
Yeah. One of the things that I discovered recently with my sister was that we all have, there's a conversation going on inside us all the time between different parts, but there's a tendency that we only hear one of the sides of the voice. The other one is kind of suppressed.
Muted, yeah.
Muted, yeah, just muted, so that it's not in our awareness, and we're aware of it. We're aware of one voice. And with my sister, I had always been aware of the part of me that feels like, oh my God, I'm being completely abused over here. This is insane. How could a person live like this? But I was not aware of the other voice, the one that is abusing me. I just said that that's her. I made her that. I did not claim that conversation inside me. And that's been a very long and slow process. And one of the things that I have done, which I find really powerful, and if anybody finds this helpful, is that I imagine um, it's like a coffin monologue, we call it in acting. And I imagine my sister no longer alive. And I think of her, how do I feel about her? Who is she? What do I say to myself? And that just like melts so many layers, because then I see her for real, not just in the role that she's playing in my life. And so recently my awareness has taken me to just see the dance that we've been doing, and how I've only seen I've seen myself as the good person, as the one who is reasonable and good and kind and all of that. And I saw her as the one she's just trouble, she keeps, and I slowly was able to see like, oh, okay, we're the same. We're the same. It's just coming out differently. And I can handle the depth of her victimhood that's showing up in her life. And because I'm seeing it in myself. I don't know, this sounds very heady, but the actual experience has been pretty pretty amazing. And like I shared with you, I got to witness my sister really breaking down, like going out, all rage, grief, pain, to no awareness of me or anything outside, but I got to witness it, and to really allow that fully in and see like, oh my God, of course this is what I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel that much raging, totally politically incorrect and just beastly. And
Can you share the story if I'm not putting you on the spot?
Sure, yeah. Oh no,
Just mute.
that is weird.
There. I'll just muted you for 1 second, Dagmar, so that I can't hear you, but is it good now? Good to go? Okay.
Oh,
Okay, there you go. Good.
can you hear me now? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
We had a bucket truck come into the property, and it started cutting branches as it was coming in, and it wasn't expected. It was from the energy company, and my sister is concerned about every little piece of blade of grass and twig, and they came in and they're ripping trees, and she came out screaming that they're hurting nature, they're hurting. She's so identified with it. And my normal my normal reaction would have been to be like, oh my God, like, oh, here we go again. There goes my crazy sister, and all the people, I'm going to have to explain to them that, she doesn't mean, or whatever she's going to call them. And and instead what I did is I just went out and stood there while she went through centuries of like all out screaming horrible things to the poor guys, and about
They
life.
were cutting the trees.
No, they were just going out with the truck, breaking more things. She got them to leave. They were all like, wondering what hit them. And I didn't try to apologize or explain. I just was like, okay, this is her true feelings. This is what she's really feeling. And it's been underneath all the time. And it usually comes out in very mean, nasty, bullying ways. But this time it just came out clear. It was clear and it was strong. It was a huge amount of feeling. And normally I'd be like, oh God, now I'm going to be slimed with all that feeling. And I'm just the empath who's feeling everything, like I'm the victim of all these people. She's just like channeling all these dark entities, and she loves nature more than people. And she'd throw me under the bus. If a bus was about to hit me or a dog, she'd save the dog, and all this. I mean, it just felt like, wow, these are some really good, powerful stories. But they are stories. They're my stories. It's my inner lawyer who's defending me against who's defending me against my own feelings so that I don't have to feel them. And so as I witnessed her, and I felt her pain, I allowed it to move through me. And I let go of any desire to guide her, help her, show her, make her feel better, or get into fight her or argue her. I just let that be. And she went on and on and on and on through cycles. It would all come out, and then suddenly she'd be like a person, and then it would all come out again. And then I just let it go. And for me, it felt like it was an initiation of going through the tunnel of feeling the thing that, and I think it is the hardest thing for us human beings to feel, is to watch someone else suffer. And I didn't want to take away that suffering. And it's the same thing like when I imagine that I'm still alive and she's not, and I feel into her and I look at her, I'm like, oh my God, this woman has got some powerful, passionate feelings. She's on this very hard journey, making life harder for herself. And that's what she wanted. Like when I feel like her soul needs that much of a bang to crack through things so that she can find her freedom. I cannot help her find her freedom, because I'm like, oh God, I want her to love life and enjoy things the way I do. I want her, but that's like, what the hell? How is that so it's so disrespectful, and so arrogant that I would want her to feel the same happiness I do. Like, come on, and take away from her the joy of discovering. And even if it means that she is, gonna create something horrible for herself, instead of saying, oh God, then I'll have to deal with it, it'll be my issue. No, that's another story. Because I saw how my inner lawyer had so many neat stories to protect me from feeling, oh God, just feeling how much I love her. Despite all that shit that she's doing. And that's the true feeling. So it's like the more I love her, the more intense the journey is for me to watch her suffering. And also, but not to be condescending, because she's accused me of being condescending. And I was like, Jesus Christ, me condescending. I was like, no way, I care, I do all these things. But she's right, I have been condescending in my thinking that I can help her, heal her, help her move along, not make her suffer the way I've had to. Like, why? The suffering has made me who I am. So it was a fucking privilege. I wouldn't want to change it. I really wouldn't. My personal suffering, because it's allowed me to feel more and come to this place where I could actually be okay with her suffering. And so that was a big tunnel for me to undergo. I don't know. I may go back again. I may suddenly pull out the old story again, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to maintain the level of being able to feel intensity, because it's intense.
Mm-hmm.
The more you care, the more intense it is. And then I'm like, but why didn't we come here to live and have, intense feelings? It doesn't mean, it's not going to kill me. I'm going to die anyway, just like everybody else. And having these feelings and not putting them away and making myself like, hey, I'm good, I got this, I got this figured out, and poor thing, she doesn't. That's a horrible thing to do to another person, to see them that way. So I feel like I have a lot more respect for her soul after that experience. And it doesn't mean she's going to be suddenly nice to me or anything,
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, but you're changed.
I've changed. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, I've changed, and I suddenly feel lighter, like, oh God, well, yeah, I've changed. So the pressure isn't there to make her change, to hope that she'll, do the Love Your Liver program the right way.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Hold still.
oh, yeah, and she's trying. I mean, she's doing it.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
and I'm still like part of my, like, well, you're not doing it quite right. You think, I'm still like wanting her to get it right so she doesn't hurt herself doing it.
Well, it's not a game.
I know, but life is a game in a weird way.
It's free will. You can't, like, yeah, I'm watching somebody do Love Your Liver a little dangerous right now. And I chimed in. They invited a little chiming in, so I chimed in, and then you could see it was like, just they're not taking it in, and they might very well have it completely under control, because this is all through text and the internet and stuff like that. And I just gently backed off. Okay, I said my little piece, and then it's your free will to get more damage if that's in fact what's happening. But I love your point. I love your story, first of all, Dagmar. That's incredibly powerful. I knew it would be beautiful, even though I heard it, but it's, I'm getting even more out of it the second time. And this element of the nurturer, just because I'm a broken record on recognizing the archetypal things, this is the one of the big shadows of the nurturer, is that they come as I'm the unbroken, and I will be ministering to you, the broken. And our relationship might very well depend on this nature of the relationship. Again, the status of the nurturing sister, wanting to care for the other from a place that is holier than thou, and it's that trying to take the free will from that person and save them from, I can't do air quotes anymore with this finger, save them from themselves or life or any of that kind of stuff. So what an incredibly beautiful transformation, a sisterly transformation. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
also just letting it all land, letting all her accusations truly land, and seeing them from her point of view, and it's almost funny, I mean, her she told me at one point that you're like Kamala Harris. You think that you're better than everyone. And I was like, oh my God, what an but now I'm like, yeah. There's great wisdom, just like there's wisdom in the homeless people who go around screaming and saying things, you know, they're kind of like the weird shamans of city life. um, there is wisdom there.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, totally. May
and
I may I relate this back to something we were already talking about, is how is the that that triangulation with the mother. So the mother is the quintessential nurturer, right? Like that's what life is hiring her for, that role in that time. It might not be the forever time, but it's kind of a good one to have
Mhm,
a handle on. And then what ends up happening often, and maybe even more so, is that the siblings end up taking care of each other. The sisters care for each other. Sometimes they won't survive if that doesn't happen, right? Like you've got a big family and someone's going to get lost because the mom is only able to attend so much at one time. And then the weight that creates, where you're, as a, as a young child, that you have no ability to really respond to danger in any way, but here you are in this role, and you have to take on that responsibility. Many people report that they never really got to have a childhood because they were right away responsible for the younger one, or the other way around. It can be, my good friend, he ended up responsible for his older brother because his older brother was never really got anywhere developmentally past a child, so he grew into an adult but never really. So then he's always responsible for that older brother.
mhm, mhm,
And again, it comes down to this, that I love how you said, the more you care, the more intense it is. And the more those things are going to scream out at you. But the demonstration of that, to hear more fully now how, it's, we only hear one side of the inner dialogue, and then we project out the other side onto someone who becomes, like, the antagonist in the
mhm,
situation. And then you see, like, oh wow, got both voices. This happens when people die, right? They're gone, but then you still got the conversation going on. And it becomes more obvious
mhm.
that it wasn't them, it's here. This is how I healed, to a great degree, not perfectly, but the hatred for the masculine. I was hating the masculine out there, but this is where I was really hating it. It's not always linear like that. It's not always just like, oh, if you hate that, then you hate it in yourself. It's not always that simplistic, but it can be.
Mhm, mhm.
So, yeah, how deep and profound.
Yeah, yeah. And just the masculine energy in terms of the mother, from and I mean, a mother had to have given birth unless she adopted, but maybe even then, the same feeling that the moment you have a child, it's like that more, even more protective kind of masculine energy comes in. So then you have the mother with the protective energy and the father with the same energy. And that's when sometimes, I see with couples that they start to butt heads. Not
Oh,
always, no, thank God that they don't, because we would never have any marriages last. But it's like when women just give birth and then they go right back into their masculine energy, even stronger than before, let's say. And it's amazing that we've made it this far as
I
humans
know.
with industrialization and all of that, that we still, that the couples do stay together and have children and continue having them.
Yeah, yeah, tragically less and less, but that's so cool, that that mama bear. If you asked anybody, they would say that's a feminine quality. No, it's a quality of women, but it's masculine all the way, right? They will rip your head off if you threaten. And even I've seen this. God bless my mother. She if she got forced between my dad and the children, she went with the children. And this is like, I'll never stop benefiting from that gift,
Mm,
because it can be the other way around. Really sadly, right? Children end up sacrificed for that relationship that can't be healthy if they're asking you to choose that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, yeah, but yeah, that's really masculine, and it can be the masculine against the masculine, unfortunately. Hey, in that where you're, and that's in effect what's happened. Now we're kind of morphing into other subjects. We promised ourselves that that was okay. That if we covered more than one, but it probably deserves its own. But yeah, where, especially in the romance and the marriages and everything, how the woman's masculine, which is a shadow feminine, ends up against the male and crushing the male, and all of that, as if nurturing the male but really condescending.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and wearing the testicles as earrings, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's sort of like, it's not a true masculine. It's kind of like a learned, going beyond what's organic, like putting on more masculine than is like natural. I think it's,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And same thing with men, when women force them to become like, best buddies, and the men really try to like listen and be like a girlfriend, and it's just, it's not a genuine feminine. uh
Exactly.
or I don't, who am I to say if it's genuine or not, but
Mhm.
words are so limiting, because there's so many, this is all so it's so gray, and you know subtle and intricate, and everybody is different, but just for the sake of conversation, I'm not attached to anything I'm saying. I
Yeah,
mean,
likewise. But there are universals. This is one of my favorite games of seeing the patterns of things that do. We do have this intensely individual experience, and we have a collective experience, which is why I'm hoping that this will be useful for people to hear a conversation like this, and be able to, like, oh yeah, I have that experience, or even to hear that they don't, is sometimes useful. But I want to point this out because I did a little PhD in my mind one year, probably not long after my dad had died. And it's like I used to portray the masculine very, a lot. And I would wear a suit and I'd be in the corporate world, and I was called a ball breaker. It took me years to know that. Someone finally confessed, someone, because I worked with many men, and they called me a ball breaker.
and not a ball buster. I like ball breaker. That's a good one. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same principle. And
Canadian.
maybe, yeah, yeah. But if someone was hired to do something for us, I would, like, "Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. Where is it? Where is it?" Writing it. Oh, it's not perfect enough. Oh, go back to the drawing board, and kind of have that very, very masculine. And it was good for the business. I mean, it was a great quality to apply there. But that it's kind of what you said, how there are times where you and we got a world full of all of the, like, transgender and the absolute confusion, and the portrayal, say, of masculine energy from a woman, or the portrayal of feminine energy from a man. And these portrayals, to me, it'd be easy to look at them as, like, oh, she's so masculine. It's like, no, no, it's the opposite. She lacks connection with her masculine, therefore she needs to portray it and display it and have everybody see it and know it. It's like it's like a persona mask that makes up for that inauthentic connection with what already is there and would be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's a sort of like my inner lawyer. It's this is like this persona that's designed to keep me, in a way, keeps me from my feminine, from my feeling, from my flow, from my allowing, from my being like water, where things can move through me.
Mm.
Even though I know I'm strong, the strength is in the softness. And to me, that's feminine energy. Feminine energy, like the queen energy, is very different than the king energy. You know,
100%. Oh, people have tried that all the time. They come in, they try to call me the queen hero. I'm like, no, you don't get it. It's not like that.
yeah, there is no queen hero.
There is no queen hero. Nope.
There is the heart. I mean, to me, the queen is the heart.
Mhm.
You know, it's a different way of. It's a magnetic energy of holding. It's a different way of holding energy and creating a space.
Yeah.
You know, like if I remember I worked on a film once with a female director, and you know, and just completely different experience.
Yeah.
Everybody on the set felt different. Everybody was giving out in a different way, offering, because she didn't go into her king hero. She stayed in her heart queen, and it just made people. It was a whole different paradigm. You know how a film is made. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it was the cooperation and collaboration, because she received it. She wasn't pushing on everybody to, like, you know, this is how it's done. This is we're doing this, which is all good too. You know, King Hero energy is extraordinary. Beautiful films are made that way too. But it was just interesting. Like, wow, it's a whole different ambiance.
Exactly. And you don't marry yourself in nature, right? You marry the opposite. We call it opposite, which is not opposite, but yeah, I wonder if the queen deserves a whole stream in the yin on the rocks.
Well, yeah, we got to get to the queen. We got to do a little Cinderella here, you know, the road of ashes, and then you know, go through, and we got to get to the crone, and because I really do want to talk about the whole, you know, getting older and, you know, becoming a dangerous old woman
Yeah.
instead of a friendly old biddy, which is cool too. It's all we need it all. It's all part of our joy and entertainment of, you know, we like to have fun in life.
Yeah.
Deep fun, and sometimes it's painful, but still.
Yeah, yeah, we got all these colors to play with. So the trick is to notice that you're playing. That's, I think, the hard part, that so much of life gets us in. We're sucked into the drama. We're like, what do they say? Be in the world, not of it. We
Hmm.
become of the drama and not, or I don't know if I said that backwards. Something. Anyway, I think you get the.
Yeah. And you know, we can go in and out. We have many choices. Like, as a writer, I see how many you can just move through universes. You can switch and play. We contain multitudes.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm, mhm.
and yeah, it's good. It's good to
It,
be
it is
alive.
really good. Yeah, this has been beautiful. Thank you for staying on longer. I totally appreciate it. It's been great. And do you want to choose a topic for next week and let people know?
Um, no, let it be a surprise,
All right. Sounds good.
because we'll talk about something this week and we'll be like, oh, great topic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not rushing. If it's not the queen, then there's nothing rushing forward for me at
That's
the
one
moment.
thing. Queens do not rush. Oh, maybe we can do some of that. You know, how to access just the energies in our bodies, you know, and the whole, yeah, maybe let's get into the whole queen thing and the various feminine archetypes. No?
I'm just curious about the, like, rather than taking, just because they're so big, they're so expanded in
Hmm.
in and of themselves, that again, it doesn't have to be, it's speaking exclusively, because there's every archetype will have their interaction with others. But yeah, yeah, we'll work it out, and be back next week at the same time. And would you like to share anything, Dagmar, about what's going on in your life? Anything that you maybe are wanting people to know about, or ways to that they could reach you for? Because you teach acting and writing. We're just about to set a date in the House of Free Will for a method writing workshop with Dagmar. So if anybody is wanting to do that, I've been getting my small lessons from Dagmar. I was so happy, like a little kid yesterday. You're just giving me the gold, and my brain can take in some of it, not all of it, I can tell, but there's little pieces for my creativity that were such a spark. And so Dagmar is going to be teaching about this, how to express much more deeply and through a variety of voices, or whatever the focus is. I know it's a very big subject. So in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one
I mean, I'm just going to teach people one little aspect of method writing, so they can get a taste of it and see if it's something that gets you excited to want to write more. But I think it's a great, great journey with writing, that you can do it anywhere.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, I'm feeling hungry to do a lot more writing, and so I will let people know that you can become a member of the House of Free Will if you would like. Here is a application. And so we do our own weekly meetings that are private, and we have our private events and workshops and many recordings, a big library of events that have already taken place on a variety of subjects that to me are all solutions based, whether it's the creative solution to unraveling our inner landscape, and expressing and having fun, and the joy of that, and the connectivity of that is so connective. And there's a lot of things on health and the law. I've actually got a new secret weapon in the law world, who is going to be joining the House of Free Will, has done a few roundtables there. I think that's fantastic, because everything's been so fake and gay in that world, and now it's something real. I'm like, oh my goodness, so great. Even though I'm not interested in law, I don't like it, but it's like, if we're going to have it at all, let's have some real stuff. And yeah, it's a place to learn to be with one another, to have relationships, to have in-depth conversations that are all improvised. There's no scripting. I'm not telling people how to be or what to talk about, but yet we have a topic the same way as the podcast here, where there's something, that we build around. And yeah, so
Great. It's a great way to feel like you have neighbors. Even this is the best thing to being in the living room with, I think this is the new world for me, is like just connecting with people who are far away and traveling around the country, and being with people who inspire me and who I can connect with. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and this is something that one of the reasons I recognized you to be a sister. So I think there are many reasons, but and I appreciate that very much, having met you, and it's just a really beautiful thing that I think we had a similar experience. So with a large family, I'm just writing a piece on this now, but having had a large family, and now I have almost no family, and I had quite a lot of friends and contacts, and now it's like, having done this, although there's a fair amount online, but the immediate everything has become very small, because we didn't want to go along to get along, right? Would you say that's
I think,
accurate?
and what's interesting to me, this is a total aside, but I've been looking at old writing, and I notice how I had a disobedience bone in me. Looking at old journals, from like back in the 70s, I'm like, it's just, it's who I am. I question, I don't need the answer, but I need the questions. To me, questions are not because I want answers to them. They inspire more curiosity, more awe. And I realized, this is who I've always been. This isn't new just in the last 5 years. This isn't pandemic induced awareness. It's always been there, except now I'm really being asked to live according to that, and not keep like compromising and dipping my toe in different things. So
Yeah, it amplified what already was there, right? It wasn't a new situation with my family. It was just like, all of a sudden the emperor had no clothes, and
yeah,
it begged the yeah. So that's one of the things I think I would love to discuss at some point too. Just really go deep into that.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah, it was the reason I created the House of Free Will. So anyone is welcome to apply to join. It's an application process, just so that I know that we're actually related enough to be able to get along.
And maybe people now, 5 years later, are more open to hearing, which is why I don't want to approach that subject yet, because I'd rather people just kind of like, get a sense of, hey, two, like human to human. But I think people might be more open to that conversation now, the rest of the world. And if not, fine. But I think that there may be more openings now. So.
Right, exactly. It's such an aftermath. It's just like the ashes and the rubble and the like.
It's not over. The aftermath is not over. It's got many layers to it. But can I just answer a question? Maya was saying that she knows 2 other people who might be interested in
fun
method writing. I am planning to do a 8-week workshop where I teach the first level of it. So. And I don't want to have more than like 6 people, and I'd really like to give full attention to everyone, so you could learn the method writing.
Nice. Yep, hand up over here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Well, anything else? Any last words?
No last words.
No last words. There you go. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. It was a fantastic experience for me again. I love this show. I would do it every day, all day, actually, for a while. But we'll titrate it out.
It's I always used to say that if you're in love with someone, it's a pleasure to miss them. It's good to have that. It's a special pleasure to look forward to and be like, oh, once a week.
Totally. Like Garrett's streams. I'm like,
yeah.
What day is it? What day is it? Monday. Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's tomorrow already. Yeah. Very good.
And thank you, Beth, for just also thank you for your very beautifully evolved masculine energy that knows how to handle all this shit. Like you have that sense of you're giving me a great space, and I feel like, oh, I can just breathe, and I love how you can dance between being your graceful self and also like starting and stopping and all of that.
You're welcome. I appreciate that. And I'll just focus, like I'm limited in the number of, now I have to do it like this, whereas before I can like,
now, you only have 8 fingers now that you can use.
Exactly. Got 2 down. Tried to cut one of them off, and it's healing nicely. I like to say finally closed. The gap closed.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty happy. So if, by the way, for anyone, if I'm not as responsive as I have been, or things are a little slower, or you don't hear back in an email, Telegram's better, because I can always leave a voicemail and respond more quickly. So you can always find me over there. You can come to the King Hero chat, is the or the King Hero channel, and join the chat from there is a really good way to connect if anyone is trying to do that. All right, my dears. Thank you, everyone, once again for coming. Appreciate everyone who's participating, and we shall see you again next week. Thank you, Dagmar. So much love to you.
Bye.
Bye for now.